Hello, Secrets to Sleep Baby and Toddler Sleep Help group. I did a live video a couple days ago on toddler sleep, but unfortunately I recorded it and I forgot to save it and post it to the group. So I have to re-record it. So today might be almost like a little bit of like a speed version of it, but if you have a toddler and you have a toddler that struggles with bedtime battles or just kind of like boundaries, separation anxiety, waking in the night, here's a little bit of like a crash course for you. Say hello if you're watching. Let me know the age of your little one. Hi. And if you have a toddler, this is for you today, okay? So we're just gonna get right into it. My name is Courtney. I'm a pediatric sleep consultant. I help families get a really good night of sleep. Okay, so toddlers and bedtime. So here are a few things. Okay? Bedtime, one important thing is to have a bedtime routine. I feel like most people say this, like, yeah, I have one. To me, 15-20 minutes long is like a really great bedtime routine. It doesn't have to be super, super long. In fact, we don't want it to be crazy long. We want it to be like kind of like a small thing that's kind of, concise, but kind of makes our brains go, okay, hey, bed now. We do this every night, right? In my opinion, the actual things you do in your bedtime routine don't crazy matter. I have some families tell me, like, we have a bubble bath, we smother ourselves in lavender, we have a white noise machine, we do a baby massage, and our, toddlers still won't go to sleep at night, So these are good things. These can be helpful things, but to me, they're just not like the most important things, and that is why your toddler is not sleeping, even though you've tried all these things. I always have like a top five, like a 5 o'clock rule. I'll go into it in a minute. But what's really important as well is to have an early bedtime as opposed to a late bedtime. So to me, toddler bedtime should be about 7 o'clock. Okay, 7, maybe 7:30. If you're putting your toddler to bed later, it means that you are waiting until they are overtired, so that when they go into bed, that they just like conk out, as opposed to having it earlier in the day. Early in the day as in like 7. Setting up really great habits so that they, feel comfortable in the room, that they're able to kind of make that decision of like, okay, yeah, it's bedtime. I'm just going to lay here calmly. I'm going to roll over. I'm going to fall asleep. We're kind of waiting until they're like way overtired so that when we place them in bed that they kind of, maybe throw a big fit and then fall asleep really quick. Like sometimes we got to check kind of our priorities and how we're thinking about going about these things. Okay, 5 o'clock rule. So these things I think are super important to set your little ones up for success. So for them to sleep at 7 o'clock, I have people tell me all the time, my toddler's not sleepy at 7. There could be a few different factors, obviously, kind of, nap time, length and those sort of things. That could be a factor. I do recommend for kids to have a 1 nap schedule as of 18 months of age and until about 3.5. So I don't recommend just like, pulling that nap out. Sometimes people have a 2-year-old, they don't sleep out at night, they pull out the nap. Like, if your 2-year-old's not sleeping at night, it has nothing to do with their nap at noon, okay? Obviously, if they have a nap at like 4 or 5 o'clock, that's a different story. Okay, the top 5 things that I recommend, the top things I recommend at 5 o'clock. Like, are there 5? There might be. 5 o'clock rule, okay? So these things are to dim the lights in your home about 5 o'clock. If we have bright lights shining in our faces until 7, 8, 9 o'clock, when we put our kids into bed, their brains are telling them it is daytime, right? If you think about times before electricity, like the world would just start to get really dim at these times, People would be in homes, they probably have some candlelight going, but I don't think we had these issues with sleep, right? One of the culprits is absolutely having bright lights on in our homes. To me, what you actually do for bedtime, bath, whatever, but do you have a bath and do you have like these bright bathroom lights on shining in your toddler's face while giving them a bath before bed? Because to me, that really matters. It's like, yeah, they're probably not going to be able to sleep because their body hasn't started to produce any melatonin, okay? So lights, screen time, huge culprit, same idea. Shining lights in their eyes doesn't teach them that it's bedtime. Caffeine, sugar, these are things we want to cut out by 5 o'clock if you're doing those things. The other would just be like what type of play you're doing. I hear people say to me all the time, well, right before bed, I really wanted them to get worn out, so we got up and we ran around a lot. It's actually the opposite that I recommend. I recommend calm time, quiet play before bed, dolls, coloring, blocks, in dim light, something like that. If your toddler is not tired at 7 o'clock, it's actually not to do with whether they've had their energy worn out. Chances are, if you have a toddler and they've been like running around all day, like they're tired. They're so worn out. They get overtired, right? If they aren't sleeping, it's to do with melatonin production, that their body has not made them feel sleepy because they have not produced this hormone because they've been staring in bright lights. And then someone got them up and ran, around to make them really feel like it's daytime. So the opposite. Let's set up for bedtime success with really great habits, okay? So those are my kind of quick bedtime tips. If you want bedtime tips because you have bedtime battles, post below, like we have bedtime battles. We can set up a call for that. Okay, boundaries and separation anxieties. I think I went into this pretty, extensively when I did record this the last time a couple days ago. I figure I'll just like go over some of the things that okay, here's what causes wake-ups, okay, for toddlers. This is where I think when people say everyone's different, I'm like, okay, like everyone can be different, but there are reasons why your toddlers are waking up. And as long as it's not a biological reason, so a biological reason means, for example, I worked with some families that the toddler legitimately doesn't eat all day long. When we made changes to sleep, the goal wasn't for the toddler to sleep through the night because the toddler couldn't sleep through the night because the toddler needed to feed during the night because the toddler doesn't feed all day long. Okay, that is a biological reason. These are things that, well, obviously your child, has this reason why they can't sleep through the night, right? A baby with severe acid reflux, I'm like, yeah, like your baby might not be able to sleep through the night. Your baby has something that's waking them up. Okay, but if we're talking about the average child and your toddler is waking up through the night and you don't know why, here's the reasons why. Here's why toddlers, babies wake up through the night. So we call them sleep associations. I've probably brought this up before. The two culprits that for kind of like babies and then going into toddlerhood, that are huge culprits, I'll just note them, even though it's not quite as much what we're going into today. But like feeding to sleep, so that could be breastfeeding, that could be bottle feeding. What that means is like they are falling asleep while sucking on either the breast or the bottle. It's the sucking motion that is actually causing them to wake up in the light points in their sleep. It's not actual food. So that's what that's about. If you have a little one that has a feed to sleep sleep association, you know that they are falling asleep, you can write breastfeeding to sleep below, or you could write bottle feeding to sleep below, and I will get you hooked up with a resource that we can work to make changes to that sleep association. Another sleep association is rocking to sleep, okay? Rocking to sleep is all motion. So sometimes I have people say, well, I don't rock my baby to sleep, but I do need to put them in a stroller and walk around the neighborhood for them to fall asleep. Okay, this is the same thing. All this is just like different forms of motion, right? Rocking, carrier, stroller, car seat, whether it's a swaying motion, whether you, hold them like this or that, doesn't really matter. It's that they need motion to fall asleep. Post that below. I rock to sleep. I can post a link for the rocking to sleep call. You can get on that. We can make changes to that, okay? Toddlers can be more complicated than some of these things. Sometimes people are like, I don't even rock to sleep. My little one self-settles. It's just not what it's about. You're probably right. Some things that cause toddler wake-ups, okay? Physical contact to fall asleep, like they need just like snuggles to fall asleep, okay? Having their parent present. So if you imagine, okay, pretend we're a toddler, right? And you fall asleep in your room every night, and your mom is there when you fall asleep. Then when you wake up in your light point in the sleep and you look and your mom's not there, like that would be pretty freaky, don't you think, right? Like this is what I think people don't realize is that like whatever it is at, bedtime or in the wake-ups in the night, whatever those look like your toddler is under the assumption that that is what the night looks like. They don't know that you leave, So it's like, these are the things that cause the wake-ups, okay? So snuggles, parent presence, and then also like mixed messages and being able to push boundaries. So it's kind of a similar idea. So parents say, I put my toddler into bed at night. They go to sleep, and then in the night, they hop into bed with me. Okay, and I'm so tired that I just let them sleep there. So I'm like, okay, so yeah, you guys are a co-sleeping family. And they're like, oh, we're not a co-sleeping family. We only co-sleep halfway through the night. I'm like, oh, okay, but in your toddler's brain, you are a co-sleeping family, just so you know. I think this is a tough one because we actually have to put ourselves into our toddler shoes. So this actually allowing them to come and sleep in your bed, if you're a co-sleeping family and you love it, then there's nothing wrong with that. This is where I think it's important, is like, there's nothing wrong with co-sleeping. People co-sleep all around the world. It's a wonderful thing. Some people ask me, hey, co-sleeping is really difficult because my child rolls around a lot. How do I fix that? You know, like, that's just how kids sleep. I can't fix that one for you. Sorry. You know, so it's like, if you love co-sleeping, then you get used to some rolling around and you have to be okay with it. If you don't love co-sleeping and your little one is hopping into your bed halfway through the night, they are hopping into your bed halfway through the night because they know that they can do that, and there's no boundary in there, right? I've had people ask me, why does my toddler scream really loud in the middle of the night? The only thing that gets them to stop is if I let them into bed with me. I'm like, toddlers are so smart, right? It's like, they know that the only thing that will get them to stop is hopping into bed with you. They just think that is just like a significantly better place to sleep than where they were before. These are the things, like, so toddlers will actually wake up and be like, okay, if I throw a really big protest, I'm gonna get right into bed with mom, you know? And if they start kind of crying a little bit and mom goes, nope, you gotta stay in your bed, they're like, okay, I know what to do. I need to scream and cry more in order to get into bed. And so if you do let them hop into bed and you shift that boundary, like, to them, that's where the boundary is that if I scream and cry loud enough, I get into bed with mom. Okay, so these are just some things that I wanted to, like, go over with toddler sleep. Yeah, like, there are different proven strategies to change these things. And to me, it's all about boundaries and, like, putting boundaries in place and keeping firm with boundaries. I put a few more points in. One, just like separation anxiety peaks at 18 months of age, right? So it's normal for there to be like a temporary regression in sleep. So what this means is if your 18-month-old starts to refuse naps, okay? You know, and it could be 16 months old, something like that. Like, that's pretty normal. So my recommendation is not to give in and just like, oh, my little one doesn't do naps anymore. My recommendation is to continue putting them down for their nap, down for that nap, until they, you know, kind of go past the point of like, okay, you know, I guess I won't fight this anymore. I know that no matter what, I still have to go into my room and, you know, chill with mom for a while. So, hey, I might as well just sleep because I am actually tired, you know? So it's like, if we have really good habits, we'll get through like this regression or this milestone and, you know, come out the other side and things will be good. Where regressions don't just like recover after is when we just like, okay, well, I'll just stop putting them down for their nap. You know, something like that. It's like, well, now we've formed a new habit that doesn't help with sleep, you know, or at 18 months old, separation anxiety peaks, and then you start to let your toddler sleep in your bed with you, although you didn't want to be a co-sleeping family. It's like, well, now you've formed a new habit, right? So this is where it's all about putting boundaries in place, moving boundaries, and if you want to have a really great night of sleep with toddlers, like, that's how you go about it. I really like to use gentle methods. I like to use gradual methods. I don't think we just need to take our toddlers who are used to sleeping in our beds and just put them in the room and be like, hey, stay there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm a much bigger fan of like making them feel really, you know, like loved and, you know, special and comfortable and warm in their room, but then putting a boundary in place and being like, okay, like, and like what this looks like could be different. So I shared last time just a little story about my daughter, because I think sometimes sharing like a story that of like, this is what it looked like for my family. So my daughter was 3 years old and she would wake up in the night, right? We all as humans wake up in the night in our light points in our sleep. And then for toddlers and such, sometimes it just looks different for, you know, how they go back to sleep depending on how we attend to them. So, okay, my daughter would wake up in the night. Okay, so for a little while, I was like, oh, that's odd. She doesn't usually wake up in the night. She'd call, you know, mommy. I'd go to her. You know, she'd want a hug. You know, no problem. I gave her a hug. You know, she wants that stuffy on the floor. I gave her the stuffy back, and I went back to bed. You know, it took 30 seconds. I was like, no big deal. Doesn't bother me. Then, you know, maybe a couple nights later, like I don't remember the exact timeline, right? But okay, then she wants me there in the night. You know, she needs 3 stuffed animals. She needs long hugs. You know, gosh, well, now I've been up for a few minutes. You know, go back to bed, have a hard time falling back asleep. I'm like, man, like this is a little bit annoying, you know? You know, we have quite a few nights suddenly. Suddenly she wants, you know, 10 stuffed animals. She wants me to hop back into bed with her. You know, if I try not to hop back into bed with her, I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, then she throws a protest. And I'm like, oh, no, like she's screaming. And, you know, I've already been up for 5 minutes. If I hop back into bed with her, I can probably get her back to sleep in like 3 minutes. So I'll just hop back into bed with her. She'll be more calm, you know, then I'll go, you know, something like that. Toddlers are just so smart, and they are just so good at this, are they not? Post below if you have a smart toddler, because my daughter's 4 now, but I'm like, man, they are so smart. You know, after a while, I was like, man, like, every time I get up in the night, you know, she wants like 100 stuffed animals. She decides she gets up to go to the bathroom. She wants me to sit there and wait till she goes to the bathroom. She wants this, she wants that. And I was like, you know what? No deal. We are not doing this anymore. So I put boundaries in place. So I get up and I go and I give her a hug. And then instead of 10 stuffed animals, I'd say 1 stuffed animal only. So that was the rule. What happened? She threw a huge protest. Like no, I need 10 stuffed animals. You know, it's like, I need that specific one over there. And I was like, no, you can go get your own stuffed animal, but I will get you this one and I'll give it to you, you know? So did I lose sleep on that night? Absolutely, right? Because that was the first night I just put a boundary in place. I continued with that for a little bit. Okay, 1 stuffed animal, right? Here's the thing about boundaries is that we can't keep it to what we don't want to be doing, right? I don't actually want to be waking up in the night because she's 3 years old. And I know she's perfectly capable of getting up and getting her own stuffed animal. She doesn't need me. She's very capable. That's not what this is about, right? So then it started to be like, okay, I'm going to get up. I'm going to give you a kiss. But I'm not going to give you your stuffed animal anymore. So either you can get up and you can get your own stuffed animal, or, you know, you can go without your stuffed animal. So I get up, I give her a kiss, and then I walk back, you know, to my room. Would she throw a protest? For sure, right? Did that for some time. Now, you know, maybe the next stage I decided I got up. I, you know, went to her room. I said, hi, Ariel, you know, I gave her a blow kiss, and I went back to my room, something like that. That'd be the next stage. So each time we, you know, make a jump to a new, you know, we move the boundary over, you know, the kids are going to protest. They're not going to like that. We're going to lose sleep on those nights, especially. But then, you know, it hit that point of like, she'd wake up, she'd go, mommy, and I'd call out, you know, from my bedroom. I can hear her. She can hear me. My door's open. Hi, Ariel. I love you. Go back to sleep. You know what I mean? Something along the lines of that. So then, you know, if she ever feels like, we as attachment parents, we want our kids to feel really safe and secure. They want, you know, if they want us, we want to be able to make sure that they know that we're there and we love them. But we also don't want to like give in to our toddlers at everything that they want, because sometimes they are asking for things that they, you know, that they really don't need. And it's just not even helpful for them. It's not helpful for us, and we lose sleep because of it. So we don't need to give in to our toddlers. We can put boundaries in place that are healthy, that, you know, are actually healthy and best for all of us. Because I can tell you that if she's keeping me up for an hour in the night, that's also not what's best for her. So she needs to feel safe in her environment. If she wants to call out and go, mommy, and I can shout back, oh yeah, I'm right here, then she can roll over and go back to sleep. Like if she feels like that's helpful for her, I'm okay with that. You know, like to me, that's like a healthy boundary. But we also don't need to like massively like let our boundaries just go just because our toddlers throw really good protests. Like to me, toddlers are just super smart, and that's some of what that is. So if that's helpful for anyone at all, I'm just gonna have a shout out if you have a toddler that has sleep struggles. So, you know, bedtime battles is one of the culprits, and the other culprit is, you know, waking in the night when you're like, man, I thought that toddlers should be able to sleep in the night. You know, like they can, and you want to find out like what it is causing your toddler to wake up and some strategies to make changes. Post below toddler sleep. toddler sleep strategy call, something like that. And I will hook you up with a link for that. So I did just open up another like group call this week that we can set you up with that group call, have people come. Lots of people have similar situations, so if that's helpful for you at all, and then we can just like get down into like strategy. I also do want to mention that I offer like a 3 weeks to better sleep program. I highly recommend it. And the reason why is because just talking about sleep strategy is not enough. So sometimes I feel almost like it's like people want me to just tell them like, when will my child fall asleep well at night? It's like, oh, well, that is entirely up to you when your child will start to sleep through the night. So if you want to make changes right now and you want to join the 3 weeks to better sleep program and you want to have really great sleep 3 weeks from now, then I can tell you that like that is what I recommend. I think that is the best way to get a really great night of sleep. Okay, so if you're an action taker and you just want to like jump right in and you're like, yeah, I'm done with this ongoing bedtime battle. I'm done with the waking up at age 2, 3, 4 when I know that 6-month-old babies can sleep through the night. If that's you and you just want to be done with that and you want to get a really great night of sleep, so you can just like go to the beach this summer and enjoy the days instead of do this like sleep deprived kind of half awake thing that you're doing. Post below 3 weeks to better sleep, and I will send you a link to book a free sleep strategy call. Same idea, we'll chat sleep strategy. We'll talk about ways that changes can be made, and then we can jump right in and get into like starting to make changes so that 3 weeks from now that you can have a really great night of sleep. Okay? I hope that's helpful for anyone. If you have questions, you can post below. You can always send me a DM, and I hope you have a really great Saturday. I'm hoping that when I click finish that I actually save and post this live today instead of accidentally deleting it like I did last time. But I think that this one I was much less stuttery, so that's good. But I'm sure the information is all the same. All right, thanks everyone. Talk to you later. Bye.